The certainty of La ilaha illallah, this certainty that there is no God but the one God, is the same as the assumption that things do make sense, there is an absolute, is a certainty that resides in here. It's in the intellect. It isn't something that we had to look at on the outside and see the evidence for it. We figure that out on the inside, that there is an absolute. And that's the security, the safety that a Muslim has in his belief. Because he measures what he sees on the outside against what he has on the inside. As someone has said, the devil can imitate a miracle, but the devil cannot successfully counterfeit truth. The devil can make a very impressive show of something, the man was saying. And if your faith is based on miracles and wonderful events that happen outside your body, you can be misled because people can imitate those things. But the devil cannot imitate the truth to you, because when he tries to, it won't hold together. There is only one truth. You find that if you have in your mind the clarity of an absolute, a measuring standard. The nature of the Muslim's belief, then, is verification. All of the input, ears and eyes, all of the input is measured against the standard of consistency. If someone wants to convince him of something, he has to judge for himself. Does that make sense? What are its implications? Does it cause me some difficulty? Logically? God is the absolute, the point against which everything then is measured. As the 112th surah reads, قُلْ هُوَ لَهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Say, He is Allah, unique. Allah, the absolute. He did not father, nor was He fathered, and there is nothing that can be likened to Him. In conclusion, let me say it is gratifying to see interested people here. It means for those interested people that you cared enough to listen for yourself and not be satisfied with a second-hand report of activities. Many books, it has been calculated at least 50,000 books in the last 100 years have been written against Islam. But they all fall into one general category, and they continue to fall into one general category. The fallacy of argument is called, usually, straw man. Instead of confronting the truth of Islam, these books fashion an opponent for themselves out of straw, and then they beat it to death. Instead of facing this Muslim over here, they piece together a Muslim of a quote from what some Muslim said here and somebody else in here, and they put together a Muslim, and they build him over here, and then they look very tough when they beat him to pieces. But that's not the real Muslim. You know, he was over here. That is, they put positions in the Muslim's mouth which he never meant to say, and attack those and demolish them, and that looks very impressive, but it isn't what Islam is all about. So I would encourage individuals who are interested to continue to go to the source. If you want to know about Judaism, go and listen to the rabbi. If you want to know about Christianity, go and listen to the Christians. If you want to know about Islam, listen to the Muslims. By all means, you might want to see what the Christians have to say about the Muslims and what the Muslims have to say about the Christians, and that's another topic too. But the point is to go to the source and to measure things in your own mind. Does it make sense? If something bothers you, is it because I told you something wasn't true? Or why does it bother you? Think about it. Measure it against the absolute, the power of the intellect. This is how man is saved. Those conclude my comments. I see we have, I guess, about the amount of time you expected. Do you want to just entertain questions now, or what did you have in mind?
First of all, I appreciated the demonstrable logic of your presentation, but I wonder how the ineffable, which is God, functions as a standard, being as it's by definition ineffable. How is it
by what I was trying to show is the place occupied by God, not what God is, but the place he occupies. That is the absolute, the reference point. It prevents us, on the one hand, from the mistake that nations have made for centuries. They put their faith in faith. They said, just believe, that's good. And then the age of reason came along, and they said reason should be the test of all things, and they wound up making a God out of reason, and they deified reason. They put their faith in reason. And now in this century, reason has deserted them also, in the sense that it's only now appreciated that their reason is a limited tool, that reason will decide matters, but reason doesn't necessarily give information. The concern of the human being should be his course of conduct. What is he going to do with his life? That you can figure out reasonably. As to what God is, that doesn't really matter as far as the human being is concerned. To try to draw a picture of him or something. The attributes that the Quran gives of God are attributes that relate to certain points of view. He is Ar-Rahman, the compassionate, in the sense that living things are provided for. But he is never cast in the image of a man, the pre-image of man. The Quran doesn't show you a God who is just a bigger and better version of man. Now, man would sit there and say, well, I'm strong, God must be just a whole lot stronger. I have a sense of humor, God must be even happier, and so on, and draw a picture of God that way. Islam avoids that kind of thing, to say God is as to what he is, it's outside of your knowledge. And in the 18th verse, it's just barely getting underway, the verse says to the Hebrew nation, God speaks, he says, come and let us reason together. Though your sins be as scarlet, etc., etc. He's trying to say, well, start by being reasonable. We can set ourselves back on the right course. So that reason is the standard of behavior, and that's all we need, I guess. Do I come close to answering what you're talking about?